So do you have a,
I have GoDaddy for my website.
okay, can you log into it?
No.
Can I ask you to help me?
Well,
Can I just go get my, I can't find the second.
they will, okay, so here's a question where somebody doesn't have their password handy to log into their GoDaddy hosting account. You look at it from GoDaddy's side. They're not just going to take any phone call or any tech support. They're going to have a process to make sure it's you. It's not just Jason who's got his trench coat on and it's going to take your hosting over and put up some fake site or something. They're going to make sure it's you. And everyone has a little bit different. I know GoDaddy has a PIN number. They do a lot of phone support. But when you do a ticket, like a trouble ticket, support ticket, it takes them a little bit longer. It's just every hosting company is a little different, and they want to be careful so that people don't come in and hijack other people's sites.
Can I do a free hosting site right now, or is there such a thing? Just to practice with?
Thinking.
Why don't you do
You can do that.
You know, maybe just getting to WordPress.com, and we'll help you later on the install, and this applies to anybody else. Somehow we'll help you later on your hosting and installing WordPress. WordPress.com lets you set it up for free. Once you've claimed a website, then working with content and posts and pages is the same kind of thing. So it's very same.
I think I already have a WordPress blog
Okay.
that's unused.
Okay.
So
I have a website and I have a hosting for Earthling, so where do I go?
Do you want to see what he's
So
looking
it's,
at?
yeah, the one thing is, in case it wasn't clear, is your domain name / cPanel. So it's not, you're not really going to HostGator, you're going to your domain name / cPanel.
oh,
Right, it's to the, that's right. So I went to, Better Home Sales is my domain. You can see it up towards the top. And I'm going to type in /cPanel. Everybody, or this is very common. I chose HostGator as a recommendation because this is very common for a lot of hosting companies. And it changes, it maps it to a special port.
cPanel, okay? cPanel with C and a capital P?
Lower, all lower, well,
Doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter.
But you want to sit down a little.
Not found, okay.
You pay for your own hosting.
Do I do it?
So, yes, and you have your name. So you'll want your name.com, your businessname.com, and not be like mybusinessname.com .WordPress. You get your own. Yes.
Oh, that's where you go log in for creating a website.
There's some more questions.
I'm still confused because I have a website hosted by Omnis.com in California, and I'm not sure I want to set up a separate website. So should I just go with WordPress.com, or can I transfer things later? Or
For today.
and if I do go with Omnis, then I already have the domain name, but would I also have to pay for the hosting if I establish this one today, or what?
Right, okay, so back to the Lego house. Hosting is your land. You're going to build a house. Your land is your hosting account. You have to pay for somebody to put your files somewhere. And you also have to pay for your address. That's your domain name, yourcompany.com.
That's already paid for.
Okay, so if you have just the domain for a self-hosted website, you are buying hosting, but the cost is, depending on how much you prepay, it's like $6, $7 a month. And it's a very reasonable rate. So when I say hosting, I'm not talking $500 a year.
No, I understand that. I wasn't worried about that. I still don't know what would be easier for me, just to practice on the WordPress thing.
How about practice on WordPress.com, and we'll talk later. or work separate to get you, because if with trouble getting onto hosting right this second, we could
Yeah.
stop every,
Right,
we have so many people.
Right,
So we'll work with you.
but the contents would later be transferred if necessary from what I create today, or what?
From, on WordPress.com, we would do yes, because we would just copy and paste from one site to another.
All right.
It's not an automated, like,
No,
Send it over.
Thank you. Thank you.
So did you want us to get on cPanel, or if I have a WordPress site, am I getting on my WordPress site?
if you have a WordPress site, get on your WordPress site. For HostGator and a number of hosting companies, you go to cPanel. So this is, it's a common one, it won't be there for everybody's hosting. Okay. And that's where your website is currently. I don't know, I've never been on one. Like, let me see if, I have Randy look, because I have never used Earthlink, and can you look at his? He doesn't see his login.
With all these hosting questions, how about if for the sake of the class, we all go to WordPress.com?
Well, there are a number of people I've set up.
Okay.
I think we're about to go with, if you're all set up and you have WordPress, you have your own hosting, and you can log in, raise your hand, let's see. There's a number, and if you're not having your hosting, we'll work with you separately, and just go to WordPress.com and create a new account. Because there are a lot of similarities, and then we'll copy paste and you'll get familiar with the website and working with it.
Now, I'm at the WordPress site, and it asked me to, do I already have a blog, and I do, but then wouldn't that be like messing up the blog I have now?
You can just create a one that you can play with today. We
But
call
should I give it a
give it a new name.
okay.
Make up something, call it a.
No, I know how to do that.
Okay, well, I'm suggesting it as a sandbox. That today, it can be a throwaway exercise or through this month, and you will, by going through and actually doing it, you can just abandon it, and you will have learned a lot that will help you with your site.
So, and everyone, I'm just going to step in and say, let's really keep the class moving forward. I know it's going to feel frustrating for you if you're kind of stuck now and don't feel like you can follow along. Remember, this is being recorded, and that does offer a lot of help outside of this time. So if it's okay, just kind of let go of the fact that you're following step by step, and just, take in what you can. So we'll move on now, just so that other people, so we can get through the content.
And we'll work with you. I really want you to succeed and have your website, and so we'll work through this. So for anybody who has a hosting and domain, and you're on your control panel might vary a little bit. At HostGator, they have quick install, and they have where my mouse is, and they have something called Fantastico. So this is really handy if you can find something like that for your host. Sometimes it's install software, sometimes it's add-ons. When you find it, you want to go ahead and click it. And this site doesn't have anything. It's just a bare bones, nothing site at this point. So I used Quick Install. You could use Fantastico. They're very similar. And I am going to look over here on the left, and it says blog software, and there's WordPress. You can see, you see the little icon. So I'm going to click that. WordPress is web software. This is good. It's an official site. I'm going to continue. And here's where we're getting ready to install. Now, I had sent out a survey. Some people want to add a WordPress blog to an existing site. And this is a place that You make a decision of where you want to install it. This box here asks you where you want to install it. So it's a subdirectory. If you have an existing site and you want WordPress just to be off to the side as a blog, you would put in, like type in blog, and that will install WordPress separate from your whole existing site. Now, if you want WordPress to be your main website and do all your content management, or your site's an entire blog, or there's nothing on your site, then leave that space blank. Does that make sense, Wendy?
So are you saying if you put in blog there, does that, and then if you go to your homepage and click on blog, does it open you up to a whole new site?
It will be wendywallace.com/blog, if that's where you asked, if you asked it to install in blog. Is that?
So it looks like a page.
There'll be, from there, that's where the software will be, create subdirectories under that structure.
Okay.
And it won't touch the other parts.
Okay.
So if you don't put blog in there, will you then get pages without all those comment things?
That's separate, we'll get into comments and that sort of
For the
thing.
W-
Right now, we're just telling the installer where we want to
WordPress.
put this. Do you want it at
So would you
mydomain.com, like everything? Or do you want it just a separate little part of it?
So is it fair to say that you can just leave that blank if you're starting from scratch?
If you're starting from scratch, I would leave it blank, definitely. And that's what I'm going to do in this case. There's a little bit of information to fill out. I'm going to keep going along. There's a checkbox that says enable auto upgrades. I uncheck it because sometimes there are automatic upgrades I don't necessarily want because a bug is found. I like to control it. It's WordPress, it's generally okay. My personal preference is to keep on top of it myself, and I uncheck it. The next box is administrator email. When the WordPress is created, there will be a login and a password that will be emailed to you. Be sure it's an email address that you can access now, that you can just flip over and get. This is important because once it's created, you need this information so that you can log in.
So that would be our own email.
So your own email that you can get to right now. My blog title, it's more a site title if you're using WordPress for your site. I typed in Better Home Sales, it's the name of my site. It can be changed later, but the name of your business is a really good piece of content to type into that box. Now I have a tip about this admin user. This is the username that you will log into with administrative privileges to your account. It used to be 3 years ago, WordPress created only the user account admin. Well, that's the one that hackers or people trying to get into your site will try to guess that it exists. I suggest using something else that's a little more hard to guess, because hackers like to go where it's easiest to go. Make it a little bit harder for them, not so guessable or obvious. So just something like a net WP admin is something that's more obscure. You just make it a little more obscure and you're further ahead in your security. Now this was my autofill. I didn't want that.
Oh, that's the username? Oh, that's the username.
So admin user username.
No, I'm not even there yet.
Okay. We'll work with you to try to figure out where your web hosting login is. And we'll get it installed separately.
Since you're down here, that's okay to use your real name.
Okay. So I'm going to click install now. Congratulations. So the installation is ready. I can can access it by clicking here. This is just the site. Now this is the rawest, most bare bones starter WordPress site. This is how it starts out before we do anything more with it. And this is the default theme. We'll go through, I'm going to make sure we have time today to take off that image and do a little bit of tweaking and setup. Now this quick install from HostGator gave me my username and password. Not all installers do. That's why I suggested it was an email address that you would have access to. Some installers make you go check your email. So I am going to just copy Control-C. The admin area, it's kind of hard to see. There's a link here. It's WP-admin. I'll open that in another tab. And we're going to go look under the hood and start working with it.
So you go to the admin area?
Are you on? Oh, you're writing it down.
Yeah.
Yes, we will go to your
So
website.
whatever you've got under admin area, you click on that.
Yes.